Hey gang, as you know, I am trying to get the videos back up. I am narrating some old videos on the channel. This video, when it was up, got over 300,000 views. I know all of my subscribers haven't heard this one. Some of you have, but not all of you. Hello everyone. I have read many stories about relationships on this site. Mine might not be unique, but it comes close. Just a couple of months ago, I thought I had a fantastic marriage. I caught my wife of 18 years cheating on me, but it gets crazier. It does. Her affair partner is married, and his wife hired a private investigator. We are both in our late 40s with no kids at home. Our two daughters are grown and living on their own. We did everything together from the moment we met. The only time we were not together was when we were working. I am a software developer, and she is a project manager for a tech company. We had almost the same hours and would get home within minutes of each other. We always went for a jog after dinner. We had regular date nights. That's why it's so hard for me to write this. I was completely blindsided by something like this. We, as men, can have a hard time spotting changes in our woman's behavior. We always think it's us who needs to fix things. Yep, that's a true statement. Most men will always try to fix it. When their woman cheats, yeah, you don't need to fix it, you need to exit. Well, come to find out, she had been cheating on me for a year. I had no idea until I saw a text message on her phone that said, "Hey, love." It was by accident. We didn't have any problems, at least I didn't see them. She came home one day and was unusually quiet. We always talked about our workday and the interesting things that happened. My discovery of her cheating started like any other day. We went to work, came home, had dinner, and went for a jog. That night, I noticed she wasn't really talkative. I asked her if anything was wrong. She responded that she just had a long day at work. I said okay and didn't press her. We chatted, but not like we normally did. We got back from our jog, and she immediately went to take a shower. I walked into the kitchen and noticed her phone on the table. Suddenly, her phone vibrated and lit up the screen. That's when I saw the text message that would change the course of our 18-year marriage. I froze and couldn't believe what I just saw. When she walked out of the bedroom after her shower, I immediately put her phone in her face and asked her, "What the hell is this?" She yelled at me, asking if I was going through her phone. "Well, you are married. Your phone shouldn't be off limits to your spouse. That's just my opinion." I told her no, that her screen lit up when the message came through. She told me this guy was just a good friend and a client at her company. I said, "Really? If he's just a good friend, why does he have your personal number and call you love?" Hmm. Seems like she allowed some boundaries to be crossed with her client. She said he was a big client and that if he had any questions, she wanted to make sure he could contact her. I told her that didn't sound right to me. At this point, I was furious. I didn't say anything else about it. That night, I kept thinking about the message I saw and couldn't get it out of my mind. I didn't sleep in the same bed with her that night. Something wasn't right. The next day, I got up and slept in the downstairs guest bedroom. I cleaned myself up and went to work. As the day went on, my wife texted me to say she was going out with some coworkers after work. I just looked at the text message and didn't respond. I was still torn up over the message I saw last night. At about 2:35 a.m., she came strolling in from a night out with her coworkers. I was in the guest bedroom watching TV. She saw the TV on and came in, asking if I was sleeping in there tonight. I told her yes, I was. She asked why. I told her the message I saw last night was still bothering me. I didn't believe he was just a friend. She then told me I was overreacting. The next thing I saw shocked me. She started to walk away from me. I said, "What the hell is that on your neck?" "No way, is that a damn hickey?" She said I was crazy and started to walk away. I jumped up and ran behind her, grabbing her arm to get a closer look. I said, "Oh, damn, it is a hickey." I also noticed she wasn't wearing her ring. I told her, "You don't wear your wedding ring anymore. You are cheating on me, aren't you?" She said, "No, I am not." I told her to get out. She said she wasn't going anywhere. Now, see, this is where tempers can flare up and possibly violence. At that moment, I knew I had to get out of the house. I couldn't stand looking at her because I knew she was lying. I left the house and got a hotel room. I didn't want to bother any of my friends or family that late at night. I paid for a week. At this point, I figured our 18-year marriage was coming to a screeching halt. The next day, I called my brother and told him my suspicions. He seemed to think she was cheating as well. So, without talking to her, I called a lawyer and asked about the divorce process. He said if I had proof she was cheating, it could help my case. Or if I could get her to agree to a no-fault divorce, that could be an option. A few more days went by and my time in the hotel was coming to an end. My wife had been blowing up my phone, asking when I was coming home, but I never responded. I went to work and she called my job, asking if I was coming home. I simply said I would be home sometime that evening. I got off the phone with her. After that, my boss came in and asked me if everything was okay. My boss is a good friend. We went to the same college and high school. I confided in him, saying I thought my wife was cheating on me. He looked at me and said, "No way, are you sure?" I told him after jogging with her one night, I saw a text message on her phone that said, "Hey love," and a few nights later she came home with what looked like to be a hickey on her neck. He said, "If you need a place to stay or need me for anything, let me know." He then said he didn't think I should be in the same house with her. He said she could say I hit her or some other nonsense and I would be arrested. I would say it's a good thing when you have a boss who has your back in a situation like this, and it sounds like he's been through something similar. After hearing that, I reevaluated if I wanted to go home. I have a lot to think about. I don't believe I am overreacting, especially after seeing the bruise. I will be back soon with an update. Thanks to everyone who listened. This is an update to the earlier story I posted. I caught my wife of 18 years cheating. Her affair partner is married. The strange twist is his wife hired a private investigator to follow him. Yep, her AP is married. The most tragic thing that happened was that the AP's wife caused my wife to be injured, but she is going to survive. I am still divorcing her. In my last post, I figured she was cheating on me. I told my boss, who is a good friend of mine. I told my brother and was contemplating going back home. My boss suggested that I shouldn't be in the same house with her because she could make false allegations that could get me arrested. That day after work, I got home before my wife. I got some clothes and left before she got home. I didn't want her to see me leaving again. I told her I would be home, but changed my mind after talking to my boss. I stayed at my brother's until this was all sorted out. As I figured, my wife was blowing up my phone, and I didn't respond. The next day at work, I got a text from a good friend. He is a good friend of hers who works at her company. He asked me if I was free after work. I said, okay. We get together every so often to chat about things going on in our lives and to catch up, so to speak. After work, I went to the nearest coffee shop and met with my friend. We started chatting. About 20 minutes in, he asked if everything was okay with me and my wife. I hesitated. Before I could get a word out, he said, "I'm asking because I know it's none of my business, but she has been hanging out with a big client lately. He takes her to lunch and has brought flowers more than once. Everyone has the look on their face like, isn't she married?" I told my friend, yes, I think she is cheating on me. He just sat back and said, I knew it. He then told me that the guy she had been hanging out with was married and had 3 kids. He then told me it's been happening for a long time. I was shocked at what he said. He also said my wife knew he was married. I said, are you sure? He said, yes, I am sure. After our meeting, I headed straight to the house to confront her with what I had just heard. I got to our house and her car was in the driveway. I went in and she was in the kitchen. I immediately confronted her about what I had been told. I said, you are cheating on me with a married man. You were lying to me this whole time. I found out that you have been seeing this man for a long time. She broke down right in the kitchen and started crying. I walked out while she was crying. I didn't even wait for her response. I headed to my brother's house and told him what I had just heard. I told him my marriage was over. I found out that the guy she was cheating with was married and had 3 kids. She knew he was married. My brother said to me, "You need to get your affairs in order and end this marriage." He asked, "How long has she been acting like this?" I told him for me, it was sudden. But my friend at her job said it's been going on for a while, like close to a year. After our conversation, I cleaned up and turned in for the night. The next day, I went to work. My boss came into my office and told me I needed to go to the hospital. I said, "Huh?" He said, "Your wife was shot. She is okay and will recover." I said, "How did you know before me?" He said, "I was your wife's emergency contact, but she told the nurse you were not answering your phone. So my boss said that my wife called my job and said it was an emergency." His secretary answered and gave him the phone. I left work and rushed to the hospital. When I got there, I asked for my wife's room. The nurse told me I went to her room where she was reading a magazine. When she saw me, she started crying hysterically, putting her hands over her face. She started telling me about a year ago her AP was coming to her office because he was closing on a big commercial real estate project. Every time he came to the office, they would flirt a little. I said, "Did you know he was married?" She said, "Yes, I did," and she apologized after saying that. I asked, "Why didn't you stop it?" She said, "I just wanted to feel wanted again." It was exciting. After I heard that, I almost wanted to walk out. I then asked, "How long have you been cheating on me? Have you ever had sex with him?" She confessed it had been a little over a year and she had slept with him many times at various hotels. I said, "How could you throw away 18 years? Then I said, "Never mind." I asked, "How did this happen?" What she said next made my mouth drop. She said his wife hired a private investigator to follow him because she suspected something. She found out he was having an affair and found out who I was. I said, "How did you end up getting shot?" She said his wife got a tip from the private investigator on where we were. She waited for us to come out and confronted us when she was in her car. She got out of the car with the gun and fired at her husband, but missed and I got hit in the shoulder. Her husband was able to wrestle the gun away from her. I said, "So, where is she now?" She told me she was in jail. The cops came and the witnesses said she drove towards us. After picking my mouth up off the floor, I told her we needed to discuss the divorce. I told her I didn't think I could stay in the marriage after what she did. At some point, we would have to tell the kids. After that, I approached her, held her hand, and said, "I am glad you are okay." I left the hospital. I am mentally exhausted, folks. This is the craziest thing I have encountered in my life. I now must concentrate on the divorce and what I will do with the house. Don't think I will come back with another update. I have moved forward with the divorce and am waiting for it to be finalized. Well, I don't really have anything negative to say. This was one crazy story when it was up on the channel. The fact that the bullet didn't hit her anywhere else, she was lucky. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.